Hey guys, it's Allie. So Hearthstone's newest expansion, the Witchwood, is upon us. I'm very excited. This video will be my top 10 predictions of the most meta-defining cards for the Year of the Raven. They are not in any particular order. I tried to order them and it was too difficult, so this is just my top 10 most meta-defining cards. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments below, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Okay, so to kick us off, I have Voodoo Doll as one of the most meta-defining cards. It is a 3-mana 1/1, battle cry, choose a minion, and death rattle, destroy the chosen minion. I think this card's insane. I think this card has so much potential for the meta. It's neutral removal, something that we historically don't ever really see in Hearthstone. So the fact that it's neutral and every class can make use of it, I think is really, really powerful, and we might see it a lot. I think that this card is probably best in Mage, just simply because of the hero power. It's essentially like a 5-mana assassinate for Mage, which I think is pretty good. In general, I don't think it's very hard to clear a 1/1, and I suppose you could make the argument, well, your opponent could silence the 1/1, but my prediction would be that using a silence on this isn't your best use of silence. So in general, I think the card is really, really strong. Another point to mention about this card is that it can destroy minions that can't be targeted. So something like a Tyrantus, you can't kill it with a kill spell. You can do an AoE, but 12 health, or 12/12, is pretty hard to clear sometimes unless you've got something like a Twisting Nether. So the fact that you can target these untargetable minions and destroy them with this card, I think is huge. Moving on to Baku the Mooneater. First of all, I would just like to say that this card art is absolutely insane. I want a poster of this art on my wall. But besides that, I thought it would be incorrect to not add either Baku or Greymane to a top 10 most meta-defining list, because that's kind of what the set is, you know, the theme of the set, what a lot of the cards are centered around. I do think that Baku is stronger than its counterpart, again, Greymane. I'm going to venture to say that. Please, you can let me know if you disagree, but I think that we'll see Baku more often. I think it would be strongest in Control Warrior. It's possible in Dude Paladin, as aggro Dude Paladin is losing Stand Against Darkness, so having 2 Silverhand recruits a turn could be strong for that archetype. You could also see it in Hunter, doing 3 damage a turn. An aggressive Quest Hunter could see this potentially, and maybe Rogue in some kind of a tempo. Rogue having a 2/2 weapon could be useful. Book of Specters. It is a 2-mana mage spell, draw 3 cards, and then discard any spells drawn. I think overall, drawing 3 cards for 2 mana, regardless if you have the risk of discarding some, is generally really powerful and an insane card. I think this is going to appear a lot over the course of the next year. I think the most powerful thing about this card is that it can help you get to Jaina, and it doesn't discard Jaina. And a lot of the time when you're playing any mage deck that isn't Burn, any deck with Jaina in it, that's basically your objective number 1. So the fact that this doesn't discard Jaina, helps you get there closer, is what I think makes the card so powerful. I don't think it's fair to say that this card needs to be in a deck with only minion-centric deck. No, I think that you can still run spells in a deck with this card. It just might need to be a little bit less than other mage decks in the past. If we can compare it to Arcane Intellect, which is 3 mana for 2 cards, you really only need to draw 1 card and not discard them to make it decent and good for the most part. The other power of this card is that I think it has huge combo potential. It can help you get to a combo, or it might go well with other new cards that might be coming out. For example, the Archmage Arugal. It's a 2-mana 2/2 mage card, legendary. Whenever you draw a minion, add a copy of it to your hand. So You could play that card, then a Book of Specters, potentially get 3 copies of a certain card, or the cards that you're drawing. Pretty insane. I think there's just a lot of potential with this card in general. And my last note is that this card seems like it's going to be really good in Arena, right? Chameleos is definitely one of the more fun cards this expansion. He is a 1-mana 1/1 beast. Each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a card your opponent is holding. I decided to put him in the top 10 because information is incredibly important in Hearthstone. The fact that this little guy is going to be telling you about what is in your opponent's hand every single turn that you have him, I think is really, really powerful. Information, information, information. We've seen transformative cards in the past, like something like a Shifter Xeris, but the fact that this guy is actually giving you relevant information about what your opponent has makes it so much better. It's not random cards that keep changing every turn. Assuming your opponent's not playing a terrible deck, the cards that you could potentially get from this guy can be very good. I'm really excited to see how Chameleos does in the meta, and if his effect is better or worse than I'm expecting. Let me know what you think of Chameleos, but yeah, definitely makes the top 10 for me. Countess Ashmore. She is a 7-mana 6/6 battlecry, draw a rush, lifesteal, and death rattle minion from your deck. Card draw, neutral, decent stats. I think this card is probably one of the strongest of the set, and definitely meta defining. I think we're gonna see her mostly in control decks. I don't really see her working too well in aggro, but drawing a necessary Tyrian Obsidian statue is one of those cards for a control deck could be really powerful. Something to note, it's not just minions, it's spells, weapons, anything that falls into that lifesteal, death rattle, and rush category will be drawn by Countess Ashmore. A lot of people are comparing the card to the Curator, which was a 7-mana 4/6, draw a dragon, beast, and murloc from your deck. Obviously, drawing 3 cards, I can see the comparison. Overall, I actually think that Countess Ashmore is stronger than Curator. I think that a lifesteal, death rattle, and rush minion is far more general than a murloc, beast, or dragon. The Curator did have taunt, so that is one aspect of Ashmore that she doesn't have. It's not as defensive. Overall though, because her cards are more generalized, I feel like Curator was often like very mid-range decks with the Beast, Dragon, and Murloc, which worked really well, but like as I said, I think Countess Ashmore is just way more flexible, and we're gonna see her a lot. Glinda Crowskin. Definitely one of my favorite cards from the new set. She is a 6-mana 3/7. Minions in your hand have Echo. Now when I first saw this card, I actually didn't think she was as powerful as I do now because she's sort of expensive. Like you can't really do too much with her in the turn that you play her because she does cost 6 mana. So I don't think her spot is in a control deck. I think where she's going to be strong is when you're playing some kind of a zoo deck, or disco, something that's faster, more tempo oriented, and you just drop her and then hope that she sticks for a turn here, and then you can do some crazy powerful stuff the following turn. The hope is that if you're playing a more faster, tempo-oriented deck, you'd be putting pressure on your opponent, and so beforehand, so they might not have the resources to clear her when you do drop her. I would just like to point out one thing about Glinda. Insane with Gnome Feratu. If she sticks for a turn and you can just burn your opponent's cards, that would be super cool. I think Glinda is going to be really powerful throughout this entire year and could potentially be an issue if certain cards come out where she's just overpowered. But the hope is that that won't happen or become overpowered. But overall, I think she's great and definitely going to define the meta. Okay, so the Hench-Clan Thug. It is a 3-mana 3/3. After a hero attacks, give this minion +1/+1. I think this card is low-key kind of OP. low-key OP. Obviously, it would work, I think, best in Rogue. You dagger up on turn 2, you drop this guy as a 3-mana 4/4, if you can curve out correctly. The fact that this guy continues to grow, if left unanswered, in any kind of weapon class, I think is insane. I think people might be underestimating how powerful this card might be. I think it'll be insane in Arena, but I think it can definitely find its way into tempo, aggro decks maybe, in classes that have strong weapons. It might work really well in Hunter. Candle Shot, you get 3 charges from Candle Shot, and it only costs 1 mana. So I think this guy has a lot of potential in tempo-oriented decks. I think we're gonna see him a lot. All right, we've got Nightmare Amalgam. Interesting name. Nightmare Amalgam. It is a 3-mana 3/4 neutral. His card reads, this is an elemental, mech, demon, murloc, dragon, beast, pirate, and totem. This guy's the new Mr. Spicy. He's got it going on. He's everything. I think it's fair to add him into the top 10 most meta-defining cards because, one, traditionally 3-mana 3/4s have always been solid stats, and the fact that a few of the tribal archetypes might be losing certain cards, like Murloc Paladin, it's losing Vilefin Inquisitor and Grimscale Chum, he might just be an easy include card for those tribal decks. Obviously, a lot of people have made the argument that tech cards are going to bully this guy, and it's true. You will get punished if your opponent has a Hungry Crab or a Galaka Crawler, a Dragon Slayer, but I still think that he's strong and he will be played in decks. If the tech cards really become that much of an issue, well then maybe we won't see him as much, but I think in the beginning we will, and the tech cards won't be as much of a problem as people think. I feel like it would be incorrect to not add Hagatha the Witch to the top 10 most meta-defining cards. She is the only Death Knight of the Witchwood expansion, very special just in that fact. She costs 8 mana, she's for Shaman. Her battle cry is deal 3 damage to all minions, Hellfire, and her hero power Bewitch. After you play a minion, add a random shaman spell to your hand. In general, I think Hagatha is pretty strong. I think that it opens up a lot of opportunities for different shaman decks in the future. Probably control or mid-range decks. That's where Hagatha will see most of her play. I think her effect is strong, AoE is always good in a control type of deck, and her hero power is a lot of value. Although it may be random, it's still a lot of value in the late game. Certainly better than a bunch of totems. That's not going to help you too much in the late game if you're in a control matchup. In general, I don't think that shaman spells are really all that bad. So even though that it's random, I think that on average you're going to find that you get spells that you can use in the game. Last and certainly not least, how could you have a top 10 without putting this card in kind of card, is Lord Godfrey. He is a 7-mana 4/4, legendary for Warlock, battle cry, deal 2 damage to all other minions. If any die, repeat this battle cry. So he is essentially a supernova Defile with a body attached. I don't think anyone can dispute that this card is insanely strong, potentially the strongest of the set. I was a little hesitant to put him in the top 10 most meta-defining cards. Crazy, I know. Not because I don't think he's super powerful, but I think that Warlock's pool for AoE is stacked right now. You've got Defile, you've got Hellfire, Twisting Nether, etc., etc. So I do think this guy is insane. We're gonna see him a lot, but I almost think that we won't see him as much now as opposed to later when maybe Defile rotates out. I'm sure that we're gonna see him a lot in the beginning for sure, but is he absolutely necessary in your standard Q block or control lock right now? Probably, maybe. He's insane. We'll see. One thing to note about him is that he is odd costed, so if you were looking to make some kind of Baku Warlock deck and you didn't want to run, well, you couldn't run Defile, I suppose you could add Lord Godfrey in there. I don't think odd cost Baku Warlock decks will really be that strong, but hey, it's an option just in case. The true power of this card is that it's got the body attached to it. Typically, Warlock doesn't really have any tools to clear the board and then get board control. So the fact that he combines the two together, board control and a giant AoE, is what makes him so powerful. So like I said, certainly not least, we have Lord Godfrey for one of the cards in my top 10 most meta defining. I hope you guys enjoyed my list. Please let me know what you think. If you agree with me, if I missed something crazy, let me know, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later on my channel. All right, bye guys.